This article regarding kashrus is brought to you by Kashrus Anytime, a division of the Kosher Consumers Union, which is a 501c3 organization. I'm going to be quoting over here from Shraga Feivel Mendelowitz many years ago as he saw what the matzav is and how it's causing all different kind of problems, especially with OTD, etc. It's called Until When, a painful cry from the Gaon and Tzaddik, Rabbi Shraga Feivel Mendelowitz, of blessed memory. He quotes as follows: "Then I said, I will not make any mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in my heart like a burning fire shut up in my bones, and I was very weary with restraining myself, and I could not. For I heard the calumny of many, fear on every side, denounce him. We will denounce him, say my close friends, as they watch for my stumbling. Perhaps he will be persuaded, and we shall prevail against him, and we shall take our revenge on him. But the Lord is with me like a mighty awesome one. Therefore my persecutors shall stumble, and they shall not prevail. They shall be greatly ashamed, for they shall not succeed. Their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten. O Lord of hosts, who test the righteous, and sees the inwards and the heart, let me see your vengeance on them, for to you I have opened my cause." Quoted from Yirmiyah. Now says Reb Shraga Feivel Mendelowitz further, "I use the above prophetic words as a preface to my article concerning kashrus, because this article will not bring honor to me. On the contrary, I will be attacked with ridicule from all sides. Well, what can I do? A fire is burning within me, or within 1,000 Jews like me, a fire which cannot be extinguished. The kashrus question has recently been discussed in the Yiddish press, but only one side of the question, versus concerning the unscrupulous butchers who sell treifas without a hechsher or with a false one. The press has remained silent, however, concerning the second side of the question, about the treifas being sold under rabbinical supervision and under rabbinical signs in butcher shops. The press is silent about this problem, perhaps because of the honor of the rabbis, or perhaps because of other reasons. The honor of the rabbis is dear to me too, but the honor of the Torah, which is lying in the garbage, and the honor of the truth, which is trodden underfoot, are dearer to me. As Chazal say, where there is Chilul Hashem, we do not impart any honor to a rabbi. I therefore come forward with an accusation." And I quote further from Rev Shraga Feivel Mendelowitz. It's titled, "I Accuse." "I accuse many rabbis who grant hechsherim, who knowingly or otherwise, or out of neglect, permit no kosher meat to be sold under their stamp of approval, both wholesale and retail. The seller is an unscrupulous person with Torah sanction. I accuse many rabbis who grant hechsherim, to whose attention many Jews have brought this problem, that treifas are being sold under their hashgacha. Yet they have kept this matter quiet and permitted the butchers to continue to sell treifas to their heart's content. I accuse many rabbis who, although they themselves have no part in the hechsherim, nevertheless know about them and still remain silent. There is a sort of mutual reciprocal agreement to keep quiet about each other's false hechsherim. Perhaps it's because they wish to avoid a Chilul Hashem. And I'll add, it's called that the Nizar and Tilas Yadayim, where one hand washes the other." Let me continue quoting from Rabbi Shraga Feivel Mendelowitz now. "They forget, however, that where there is Chilul Hashem, we do not impart any honor to a rabbi. I accuse the very great rabbis, the leaders of our people, because of the internal strife. These disputes are not for the sake of heaven. If one says that something is prohibited, the other one must say it's permissible. If one says that something is contaminated, the other must say that it is pure. It's impossible to bring order into the chaotic kashrus situation, especially in the meat and chicken markets. I accuse the rabbis who have also neglected kashrus in other fields. They have, for instance, disregarded kashrus in pastries, when most bakeries use egg powder in baking rolls and challahs, even though it's known almost without a doubt that this is made from eggs of non-kosher birds. Some Jewish bakeries even use lard, as simple as that. I accuse the rabbis because of whose negligence the laws of Cholavakim, Gentile milk and Gentile cheeses have virtually been forgotten. I know that there are various heterim for this, but they apply only when it's impossible to obtain Jewish milk and cheese. In our situation, however, with a little effort, order can be brought into the chaos, and if one can be good, why should he be bad? Let me add to this that the heter that Reb Moshe had, which Reb Moshe said was only in a place where you can't get any Chol Yisrael milk, like once in 6 months, and it's for women and children, etc., but not for people that could get Chol Yisrael milk on a constant basis. But now, because of the high incidence of the veterinarian procedures that are done to cows in the United States and other countries, in the ratio of 4 to 8%, there is no shishim, and any cholov akum milk or cholov stam milk, whatever you want to call it, is actually cholov treif. And we've written another article about that in a podcast, and please refer to that. Let me continue quoting from Shraga Feivel Mendelowitz. It is especially noteworthy that a certain agriculture school publicized in its report that unclean animals, especially horses, are milked all over. Let me add, now it's camels and others that are also being milked in the United States. Consequently, I continue from Rav Shraga Feivel at this point, our sages fear that the Gentiles will mix in milk of unclean animals is equally applicable today as it is in Mishnaic times. Let me add that the fines that the USDA will give are so minuscule that it doesn't bother anybody, and I've addressed it in a different podcast. I continue from Rav Shraga Feivel at this point. I accuse our Orthodoxy for sleeping the sleep of Choni Hamagel, who slept 70 years. They are completely unaware of what is happening around them and how our strongest ramparts are being smashed by our internal foes. They are unaware that all our holy traditions are being trampled underfoot, that our 3,000-year-old heritage has all but completely disappeared. Yet Orthodoxy sleeps, but how much longer? I will add to it that the Ridvaz in the early 1900s has addressed this and tried very, very hard. He was based mainly in Chicago, tried very hard on bringing some peace basically to the kashrus situation in America, and then further on that Rabbi Yaakov Yosef, the chief rabbi of New York, also tried very much, and his yahrzeit was basically 2 days ago. Let me continue from Reb Shraga Feivel at this point. They are unaware that all our holy traditions are being trampled underfoot, that our 3,000-year-old heritage has all but completely disappeared. Yet Orthodoxy sleeps, but how much longer? Do you know that all of the fortresses of Judaism, which have protected us from destruction, the only one left is kashrus? That the other mitzvahs are observed very laxly, even in Orthodox homes. And now kashrus, too, is being smashed, yet you sleep, but how much longer? If you have begun to build yeshivas and Talmud Torahs during the past few years in order to give your children a Jewish education and to implant Jewish traits in them, do you not know that bodies nourished with nevelos and treifas cannot become Jews with Jewish character traits? Don't you know that nevelos and treifas clog the heart and cause predestined demise, heaven forbid? Yet you sleep, but how much longer? It's called Timtum Halev. I continue from Reb Shraga Feivel. Don't you see what has become of our youth, or your youth? Don't you know that Jewish children have become tramps? Gamblers, gangsters, candidates with electric chair, and all kinds of it's only because they have been raised on nevelos and treifas. Yet you sleep, but for how much longer? Don't you know that going to the mikveh every day to purify yourselves will be of no avail? Not even all the waters in the world can help. Since you immerse yourselves not with a carcass of a creeping thing in your hand, but inside of you, and when you pray every morning and evening, or when you learn your daily lesson of Torah, don't you know that the breath that emanates from your mouth is the breath of sin because it reeks of nevelos and treifas? And I quote further from Reb Shraga Feivel Mendelowitz, yet you sleep, but how much longer? When you wash your hands to eat a roll, or when you make kiddush and the table is bedecked with challah, meat, fish, and all sorts of delicacies, And you say with each bite, in honor of the Shabbos, you are angering the Rabban Shalom, yet you sleep, but how much longer? I know that you will reply that Jacob is small and poor, but look what Jacob's brother on East Broadway has accomplished. How he erected a fortress through the poor laborers, a fortress against Judaism, because he has a united forces, yet you sleep and do nothing. But how much longer? Gentlemen, do a little soul searching and see how far you have strayed. Remember that our parents have sacrificed their lives for Kiddush Hashem. They allowed themselves to be burned and roasted in order to uphold our holy Torah, whereas you are not required to make any sacrifice, but with a handful you can save the situation. Yet you sleep, but how much longer? Fellow Jews, have you no fear for the great and temporal day of judgment? On that day you will no longer be able to come up with excuses or with a shrug of the shoulders. And I ask you, how much longer? And I say, you sleepers, awaken from your slumber. As Revelk Epstein, Olav Shalom, has told me that the only ones that can make changes in kashrus is the consumer. The OU and every organization, that's what he told me, is afraid of the consumer. They're not afraid of the Torah, they're not afraid of the brain slime, etc., etc. It's strictly the consumer. And he says, don't handle with the Rabbanim, because the Rabbanim basically have their agendas. They have to satisfy their people. They have to make sure the people have everything that they want to be able to eat, if it's ice cold or not. They have to protect the other Rabbanim, one hand washes the other, etc., etc. You will not get any place with handling with the Rabbanim at all. You have to handle with the consumer. The consumer is looking to better something, and the consumer is going to have to ask questions, etc., etc. Kol Tov, that was all basically mostly quoted from Shraga Feivel.